Oh, this is Chuck, and welcome to the How to Defeat Dudes video blog. Now, as I'm sure y'all have noticed, the background has changed ever so slightly since the last time I was making a video at home, and that's because the missus and I have actually just said goodbye to the starter apartment that we found on House Hunters, and have just moved into a bigger, much more comfortable place that's actually a lot closer to the center of Tokyo. What you're feasting your eyes on right now is the glory of all that is Chuck's new private, personable office space. Needless to say, Chuck's a happy camper. Now, seeing as how all y'all already know what the inside of my last house looked like because Mara and I were on House Hunters, I would love to give all y'all a tour. But the fact of the matter is, it's just a little bit jacked up at the moment. We still unpacking, a little bit messy. So anyway, this video goes out to 4 people. Mr. Swish Kebab, Bob Fitzpatrick, Mr. Malloy, my good buddy out in Ireland, and Hideyasu Yuki, who all asked me the question, Chuck, how can I properly stretch so that I can blast a dude in the grill with my foot whenever I so feel the need? Now, maybe they didn't exactly use those exact words, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. How do I stretch for high kicks? So, in order to shed light on the inquiry of my dear friends, I thought perhaps best it's time that I make a stretching video. But I ain't gonna stop there. I'm gonna make 2. Now, I'll be honest with you guys in terms of the fact that I'm not some super mad, powerful, mountain-living stretching guru, but I can tell you that next month I'm turning 35 years old, and I can still do the splits all 4 ways, meaning left foot forward, right foot forward, side split, and then side split with the toes down. No problem. Beyond that, I'm going into my 28th year of doing martial arts for pretty much every day, and I've still yet to have any kind of a really serious injury training or competing. Well, except for that one time I ended up in the hospital. But that was because of a miscalculation on a backflip, and I like to think that because of my flexibility, I ended up walking out of the hospital instead of having to wheel myself out in the chair. So anyways, guys, the point that I'm making is that you can choose to listen or not. This is me sharing my 20 years of experience with you, and I hope that it can help you. Take from it what you will. What I'd like to show you guys now is my full 15-minute stretch routine. So for the next video, that one's just going to be a 5-minute shorter dynamic stretch routine. So this is what I always do before any kind of martial arts training. And then whenever possible, at least once a day, just on normal days, just to kind of keep the blood flowing and to keep my flexibility up. Because you know what? The fact of the matter is, the older you get, the stiffer you get. It just happens naturally. Now, I'll remind you guys of these as we're actually going through the routine. But there's 3 things I'd really like you to remember as you're watching this. 1, this is a warm-up, and that means that it needs to be dynamic and movement-oriented. A warm-up is called a warm-up because it needs to warm you up. That means you need to be moving your limbs and moving your core and getting the blood flowing through everything as you're stretching it out. What you don't want is you don't want to sit down on the ground cold and be like, and force yourself into these really hard, painful positions while your muscles are still cold, especially before you actually start training. That's not a very good idea. Number 2, start your motions within your comfortable range of motion and then slowly work your way outside of it. So that means if you're doing arm circles, for example, you're going to start off just like this and then slowly get bigger and bigger as you're going. You don't just want to be like, "Dah!" and then just throw your arm out before you even get started good. Take your time. If you're doing any kind of circular motion, for example, you want to start off with a very, very small motion and then just concentrically get bigger and bigger and bigger until you're moving just a little bit outside of your normal range of motion. Same goes with swinging motions. Start inside the range of motion and then just work your way out. Number 3, and the most important one, listen to your body. The general rule with anything pertaining to your body, whether it be stretching, dieting, rehabilitation, training, is that a little bit of discomfort is okay. Pain is not. A little bit of discomfort shows that you're pushing beyond what your normal limit is. Good thing. Now, brutal, antagonizing pain, on the other hand, shows that something's very wrong and something's about to give. Not good. So if something within this routine is really, really painful for you, then don't do it. Or at least just start it off really, really lightly and just take it way, way, way slow until it gets to the point that it actually becomes, doable for you. Beyond that, just as I always say with what works and what doesn't work in the world of martial arts, don't let anyone else tell you, what exactly should work for you and what shouldn't. At least within my own experience, there's been a lot of times where, people have said, oh, you really shouldn't do this stretch because I read that this scientist said blah, 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 blah. And then I stopped doing the stretch. And then a few months later, I ended up being really stiff in this way that I used to have a lot of flexibility in. So it actually ended up being detrimental. So all I'm saying is just do your homework, experiment, find what works for you, and take what everyone says with a grain of salt, because what worked for them may not work for you, and vice versa. So anyway, enough of my long-winded jabba-dabba-dabbering. Let's get it on! You can start off your routine with simple jumping jacks. or any other kind of full body movements that will get a light sweat going for you. Notice as I'm doing these, I start off both the arm swings and the knee bends within my normal range of motion, and then continually get bigger and bigger as I go. If you'll also notice, from this point on, everything can be done to an 8 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This isn't just a great stretch because you're twisting your trunk, but also because you're using your shoulders to support the weight of your arms. And as such, you're warming your arms up at the same time, along with the motion, of course. Next up, just some light bouncing, again just to get the blood flowing and to help relax everything. Next up, start up with your arms out in front of you, and then slowly raise your knee and hold it in balance. Generally speaking, any kind of a balancing exercise is a great way to warm yourself up. You can also do these by holding front, round, side, or back kicks. Next, swaying side to side, stretching out one hamstring while warming up the opposing quadricep by making it weight-bearing. Notice how I smoothly transition from one side to the other, slowly and avoiding any kind of impact. And again, still maintaining the same 8 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now slow that down so that each knee bend is a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go all the way down and hold it for an 8 count. After completing your 8 count, raise up the arm that's in front and then place it on the other side of the leg. Then slowly and carefully straighten out the front leg until the opposing heel touches the ground. Lastly, put your back arm on the front leg and then lean forward so as to stretch your back as well. Then switch legs and repeat the process on the other side. Next, stand up. Then put your hands behind your head and then sink down into a horseback riding stance. And from there, touch your knees to your elbows, again keeping the same 8 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next up, straighten out your arms and legs to prepare for windmills. Start your windmills with your hand in the middle, and then slowly, after a few repetitions, work your way out to the opposite foot. Continue to work your back by making big circles back and forth. Now that we've finished with the back, let's move on to the legs. Press forward so that the first 4 counts are stretching on your groin. Next, readjust so that the pressure is now on your calf. After you complete your 4 or 8 count, lean your body weight forward so that now you're stretching out the bottom of your rear foot. Then switch sides and repeat the process. Next, 3 count push-ups. As you're not using your full body weight for these, this is also an excellent opportunity to introduce hand conditioning. For example, knuckle push-ups, or knife hand push-ups, or ox hand push-ups to strengthen the wrists. Fingertip push-ups are also an option, and all of these make your hands stronger and much less likely to break when striking. Next up, slowly and carefully walk yourself down and do a side split. Then gently lift yourself up and push yourself as far out as you can comfortably go. After you've reached that point, then lightly massage your groin muscles with your hands, moving up and down the muscle. Also, be sure to get the back side as well. Next, extend one arm forward and then try to reach for the outside edge of the opposing foot with the other arm, going smoothly back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you'll notice, even though I'm in a sitting position, I'm still moving to keep all the blood flowing. Next, going forward and maintaining that same 8 count. If you'll notice, each time I go just a little bit farther forward than I went the last time. Now lastly but not least, sweeping from one leg all the way through the range of motion to the other side, and then going back. At this point, if you're not in any rush and if you want, you can also introduce static holds. Although, again, in order to keep the blood flowing and whatnot, I really wouldn't hold them for very long. Typically, I'll just do these at my 8 count and then leave it at that. Although I neglected to do it in this video, this is also a great time to lift your body weight up and then turn one leg so that you're in a front split stretch. From there, you can simply lift your body weight up again and then repeat the process doing the split in the opposite direction. Then pull your legs in slowly and shake them out. Next, raise your knees up to your chest. And then raising up the inside edges. Then butterfly position. Again, you can bob your knees as you're doing this just to keep the blood flowing through your legs as you're stretching them out. Although this one is usually pretty easy for most Japanese people because they're used to sitting in seiza, this one can be quite challenging for Westerners. So what you need to do is take one leg, lift it up, and then put it on top of the other. Then from there, sweep across from one side to the other with the 8 count. And then go back in the opposite direction. From there, just stick your arms out forward and then bend down forwards. This is a killer stretch for the buttocks, by the way. Next up, switch which leg is on top, and then simply repeat the process. Sweep all the way across, and then go back. And then hold forward. From there, extend one leg out into a modified hurdler's position. Start off pressing forward and then twist to the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, reaching just a little bit farther every time you do it. Next, take the back hand, reach across and grab the outside edge of the front foot. Then cross your arms and pull forward. Again, not holding for any longer than maybe an 8 or a 10 count. From there, place your chest on your back knee and go down. After your 8 or 10 count, lift up. This time, try to put your chest on the floor in between your knee and your front foot. Again, all of these should also be stretching out your back as well as your legs. Then place the back leg on top and start with ankle rotations. Start with small circles and then continually make them bigger and bigger. From there, switch feet and then start the whole process over again on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold forward for an 8 count. Chest to the back knee and chest to the middle. And then lastly, ankle rotations. Stand up and almost done. From the standing position, knee bends. Again, starting off really light and then going just a little bit farther each and every time. And from there, Knee rotations, same way, starting off with small circles and then making them bigger and bigger. Then repeat, going in the opposite direction. Then waist, the same way. Small circle and big circles. Small circle and big circles. Then shoulders, same way. Small circles and big circles. Opposite, small circle and big circles. Next, swinging the arms in the opposite directions. 8 count and then reverse. From there, try punching with one arm and then swinging circles with the other. This is an excellent exercise in that it trains your brain to use your body asymmetrically, something that can be really useful in fighting. Next, extend both arms and then twist them like you're wringing out a towel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next up, simple shoulder shrugs. Again, you can start small and then just work the motion bigger and bigger so that you're covering the full range of motion of your shoulders. Then, as funky as it looks, you can even go opposites. From there, neck rotations. Usually I don't go all the way back, overextending my neck to the back. I just do kind of a half moon crescent shape from one side to the other. Then big yeses and big no's. Lastly, tilting your head side to side. From there, grab your shoulders and twist. Then twist back the other way. Extend your arms out in front and interlace your fingers and pull through. Release, switch hands, and pull through again. And release. Hands up, tight fists, and spread them out. Tight fist again, and spread them out, and shake them out. Then just lightly shake out the legs. Light kicks to the front, nothing too high. Maybe even light round kicks to the side. Again, not too high, not snapping too fast. Same way, really light kicks to the back. And then raising your foot up and touching the inside edge. From there, outside, same way. And behind. Then again, just light movements, shake everything out. Make sure the joints are nice and loose. Just lightly activating your muscles and then giving them one last shake out. Deep breath and stretch out the chest. One more deep breath and stretch out the chest. And then one more for good measure. And then you're done. So again, guys, that's pretty much my entire stretching routine, and that's pretty much all that I do to warm up before I do any kind of serious martial arts training. Originally, I come from a Taekwondo background, so this kind of stretching routine is pretty much typical for a lot of Taekwondo schools. What matters the most isn't exactly the routine itself, as it is how exactly you execute the movements within the motions. Much like with pretty much all of my self-defense videos, what I'm really hoping that you'll take away from this is the philosophy on how to move. So not necessarily the technique itself, but the philosophy that goes behind the technique, so that anytime you learn any kind of a new motion or whatnot, then you can simply apply the same philosophy to that motion as well, and it'll work for you. Now, typically after finishing up this routine, I'll do a little bit of punching and then also a little bit of light kind of stretching kicks. Again, just starting within my normal range of motion and then just slowly working my way out, so as to continually, bring blood into the muscles and to warm up the muscles before I get into seriously activating them or seriously using them while I'm training. For the most part, that's pretty much all that I've got to say for the full stretching routine. Now the next vid is going to focus on a shorter 5-minute version for when you don't have as much time to warm up. Like for example, when you're on set and you need to get ready to do an action scene really, really quickly, or if you just had a tournament and they just told you 2 minutes ago that you're going to be fighting in the next 3 minutes. So you just need to warm up as quickly and as effectively as you can. Please keep an eye out for that one. Okay? This is Chuck. Thanks very much for watching and see you next time. Gosh.